It is Friday, November 13, 2020, and you are watching the news from around the world, beginning in Cameroon. The Cameroon government has placed a ban on the importation of eggs, one-day-old chicks and other poultry products in a bid to avoid a repeat of history in Cameroon when a bird flu outbreak hit the country in 2016, causing a massive economic loss estimated at 16 billion francs CFA. The reason for the temporary prohibition is the recent emergence and spread of outbreaks of a highly contagious bird flu in Denmark, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Russia and Israel, all countries that normally supply Cameroon with poultry inputs. This move from the Ministry of Livestock, Fishery and Animal Industry can be seen as a good preventive measure, but Cameroonian traders in the poultry sector have received the news as a big blow to their business. They fear that it will definitely mean a drastic fall in the supply of poultry products, especially considering that local fowls produce less than national demand. Some decry the fact that poultry farmers were not informed of the decision until it was made official, thus not giving them the chance to prepare for it. Nevertheless, others appreciate the preventive measure as proactive to save Cameroon from a bird flu and its drastic consequences on the sector. The challenge now remains for Cameroon poultry farmers to step up production, especially in view of the approaching festive period of December, where the demand is always the greatest. Entrepreneurial and economic advantages of African culture is the guiding theme that will bring together Africans from the 9th to the 10th of December 2020 to showcase and celebrate African culture in the ever-first edition of PanAfrican Conference and Cultural Festival. Ahead of this come-together, promoters organized a press conference Friday, November 13, 2020 in Douala to edify media men and women on the importance of the event.
We necessarily need to be looking for solutions to problems, not complaints, because for a very long period of time we have been complaining. So we are struggling to use this occasion as a means to transform the minds of Africans and Cameroonians, to be precise, in order for them to be able to become productive, because productivity is a target. We expect to see that at the end of the day, let people who leave that particular conference have something to give. They should not only say, I learned more, I learned a lot, but they should be able to say, I can now create my own this. I can now give a solution to this and that problem.
Presided at by the President General of United Africa for Economic Empowerment, Professor Akumbo Mark Anthony, alongside other Pan-Africanists, they stressed the place of unity that existed in Africa before the coming of Europeans to brainwash Africans. In economic terms, these Pan-Africans believe that they will ignite the flame of economic independence for Africans.
Taking you into that world, into that place where you will see how you can fine-tune yourself, get new skills, get a new understanding, understand problems, understand how to solve problems, understand how to create wealth, understand what to do so that the enterprises can run. We are going to help Africa to create the wealth that she needs. That is the bottom line.
From a cultural point, Africans will be drilled on some pertinent issues.
We are going to bring out those cultural things that we do that are great, and we are also going to bring out some of those cultural things that we do that are not good. For instance, the fact that we don't read is a bad culture that Africa has got. The fact that we drink a lot, beat up our women, and it's a bad culture that we've got to correct. We have some very poor traditions. The fact that men don't help their women to work on the farms is a bad culture that we must correct. The fact that some people drink so much they don't pay school fees for their children. We need to correct these things.
This political event will bring together speakers from Cameroon and some African countries like Kenya, Tanzania and others. It should be noted that UNAFI is looking forward to carry out this African emancipation in over 30 other African countries in terms of our economy or culture. And now we take you back to emotions around the Cameroon-Mozambique football match of yesterday evening, where Cameroon's indomitable Lions defeated the Mambas of Mozambique 4-1.
And Cameroon scores.
In the minutes leading up to the football encounter, there was a lot of excitement around the reunification stadium of Bepanda, Douala, that hosted the game. Entry was restricted to spectators as COVID-19 preventive measures, but did not discourage supporters as crowds still gathered outside the stadium to have a first-hand feeling of the encounter amid heightened security.
As you can see, I am already well dressed to support the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. It's our country and I love the team. Whenever I hear that the Lions are playing, I'm always happy to go and assist and see them play.
Many expressed optimism ahead of the match with hopes of the Lions' victory, hopes which eventually came into reality with their victory. They commend the new team as well as the newly completed stadium, which they say meets expected standards. The beginning looks encouraging for the Lions and their supporters, but hopes of seeing a national football team regain its one-time domination still abound, despite present ameliorations.
The Indomitable Lions of yesterday and the one that are presently now, I'm very satisfied. I'm very, very satisfied because I can see young, talented Cameroonians, very good, talented players, and I hope with some time, we shall come back to the Lions of 90.
Over to Guinea, 5 opposition figures are said to have been arrested by police on Thursday after being put on a wanted list for their alleged role in post-election violence. Officers questioned Ousmane Gawal Diallo, Abdoulaye Ba, both members of Guinea's leading opposition party, UFDJ, and Etienne Soropagi separately, lawyer Salifou said. Security forces on Wednesday also arrested UFDJ Vice President Ibrahima Sharif Ba as part of a sweep targeting mainly opposition politicians and activists. At a press conference on Thursday, opposition leader Selou Diallo called for the immediate release. The arrest came after President Alpha Condé, 82, won a controversial third term after topping an October 18 poll with 59.5% of the vote. The government said at least 21 people died in subsequent clashes between Diallo supporters and security forces. The UFDJ party, however, put the death toll at 46. Demonstrations in Angola have gone sore as youth came out in the capital Luanda to protest against poverty. Protests against the government, usually met with violence, have been going on for several weeks, motivated by high unemployment, the cost of living, and the state of corruption. The country's police fired live ammunition and used tear gas to disperse the heavy crowd. Protesters, supported by UNITA, the main opposition party, also called for local elections, which had been postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Disenchantment has swelled in recent months with the government, which is seen as unable to deliver on its promises to get rid of corruption and revive the economy. Demonstrations were rare when current President João Lourenço succeeded José Eduardo dos Santos in 2017, raising hopes for change after decades of corruption and nepotism. Democratic Republic of Congo, insecurity is growing high in the eastern city of Goma. Day and night, the killing of civilians have multiplied under the helpless watch of Congolese authorities. Today, Sharifa Kamana is a widow. Her husband was shot a few meters from the home at night, she said, adding they are living in fear. 10 years later, no investigation has been opened yet. No one seems to know where the weapons they use come from. To battle against the heightened insecurity, a provincial deputy has initiated an operation to collect weapons. These firearms, ammunition and military effects were handed over to the authorities for a sum of up to $100. During his last visit to Goma, President Felix Tshisekedi promised to defeat the scourge of insecurity, and once and for all, since October, about 10 murders have been recorded in the region. After months of school closure in Senegal due to the coronavirus pandemic, classes resumed on Thursday, November 12. 4 million elementary to high school students returned to school that morning, though some have chosen to delay their return. Many students expressed joy in going back to school and meeting their classmates after a long period of staying at home. Authorities have assured that masks and hydroalcoholic gels will be sent to all schools in the country. The wearing of face masks has been made compulsory for all the students and administrators. Teachers, on their part, have expressed worries over the rightful implementation of COVID-19 barrier measures, given that there are about 75 to 80 pupils in a single class. In October, the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, lamented that in West Africa, only 1 in 3 countries had met their expected return dates. Schools closed last March after the first confirmed case of COVID-19. Since then, Senegal has recorded 15,744 cases for 326 deaths. Born of a Scottish father and a Ghanaian mother on June 22, 1947 in Accra, Ghana, Jerry John Rawlings entered the Ghana Air Force, graduating in 1969. J.J. Rawlings seized power twice in military coups, but went on to bring democratic rule to the West African country, serving 2 terms as the democratically elected president of Ghana from January 7, 1993 to January 6, 2001. As former Ghanaian military leader, Rawlings founded the National Democratic Congress, became the first president of the Fourth Republic, and handed over power to John Kufuor of the opposition party. After stepping down, Rawlings remained a power broker in Ghanaian politics while serving in various international diplomatic posts, including as the African Union's representative in Somalia. At the announcement of his death, African leaders have been paying tribute to the charismatic figure that campaigned for Africans to have their international debt written off. Akufo-Addo, Ghana's president, has ordered flags around the country to be lowered at half-mast for 7 days of national mourning from Friday, and said he was suspending campaigning for the upcoming election in December. Jerry John Rawlings dies at the age of 73 after a short illness at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital in Ghana on Thursday, the 12th of November 2020, leaving behind his wife, Nana Kanadu Rawlings, and 4 children. Over to the USA, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, has imposed a new round of restrictions aimed at curbing the spread of the coronavirus as the infection rate climbed and hospitalization soared in the state that was the epicenter of the U.S. outbreak in its early stages. Amongst the new rules announced, any establishment with a state liquor license, including bars and restaurants, must close at 10 p.m. starting this Friday, November 13, 2020. Also, gyms will be forced to close statewide at 10 p.m. each night. The state is also limiting indoor gatherings at private homes to 10 people. This would mean families could not have large Thanksgiving gatherings. The new measures came a day after California and several states across the Midwest tightens restrictions to residents to try to curb the rapid spread of the virus. As COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths surge across the United States, more signs emerged that a second wave could engulf areas of the Northeast, which had managed to bring the pandemic under control after being battered last spring. The state, that is New York, reported 4,820 new COVID-19 cases on Wednesday and an additional 21 deaths. Total coronavirus hospitalizations are at 1,628 across the state. French President Emmanuel Macron intends to present his proposals to EU leaders, asking for the reform of Schengen as part of a new approach to fighting terrorism in Europe. Macron called on European countries to make reforms to the rules that govern the EU's free movement Schengen area. He also called for the introduction of an effective border police on Europe's shared external frontier, following the recent terror attacks in Nice and Vienna. Early this week, he cited that more and more people today are seeking asylum in Europe, coming from countries that are not at war, to which they are given hundreds of thousands of visas every year, a possibility that there is a loophole that is used by traffickers by clearly identified networks. Member states have strengthened their IT systems in recent years, as French President says. This was a necessary response to the global nature of terrorist organizations, which organize internationally through the internet and social media, but also by sending agents across borders. However, EU interior ministers met today, Friday, to discuss the reform of asylum and migration policy, as well as the fight against terrorism, while waiting for Macron and his government to take their proposal to the Council of the European Union meeting in December. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow. That is the end of today's edition of the news. Good night.